Welcome back to the Valor Flight Crew podcast, hosted by Echo and brought to you by Vertical Helicasts and Vertical Valor magazine. In this episode, we sit down with Jack Shanley, co-host of the Hangar Z podcast and respected voice in aviation and public safety, to explore one of the most vital aspects of our profession, risk management. Together, we dive deep into the human factors that shape decision-making, the balance between leadership and ego, and the importance of a culture where every crew member feels empowered to speak up. Through personal stories and hard-earned lessons from Jack's extensive law enforcement aviation career, this conversation uncovers the difference between simply managing risks and truly understanding it. From accountability and communication to the continuous pursuit of improvement, this episode challenges us all to rethink what it means to fly safely, lead effectively, and go beyond the FRAT. Thank you to our sponsors, Airbus, Night Flight Concepts, and Precision Aviation Group.
Welcome to the Valor Flight Crew podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts and Vertical Valor magazine. Produced in partnership with Echo, Every Coast Helicopter Operations. The Valor Flight Crew podcast promotes the personnel and life-saving equipment behind helicopter air ambulance services. Join hosts Mike Fideli and Blake Schreider for in-depth interviews and expert insights from air medical personnel, pilots, communication specialists, and maintenance crews who play critical roles in airborne emergency response.
Line 1 accepting.
Copy, line 1, got you accepting. You're going to be talking to Red Feather 1 on.
I think that all of those things that you kind of mentioned kind of meld together. And even though, you know, those are examples that maybe we don't encounter very often in HEMS, I think that they're examples that can be 100% related to what each and every one of us are doing every day on the public safety aviation side, no matter what realm you're in. And that's why I love the points that you brought up about all that, because I think that this all ties together, right? And I think that's where it kind of takes me with the next question when we talk about all of these factors, and specifically those human factors. How do we ensure that, and I think I know what you're going to end up saying to this, but how do we ensure that all of these crew members are integrated into that process, as opposed to just focusing on the aviation part of it? And how do we make sure that each of those members feel equal importance or, overall heard in that moment?
That's the just culture of the unit, where that's set by policy, procedures, practices, SMS, written information, and then knowing that there's somebody watching that, and not just saying, okay, here's the manual. No, there's somebody that actually enforces it and makes sure that those things are happening, a supervisor. And that culture is so important. And that's easier said than done. I think we would all agree with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's egos, there's different experience levels. There's, people that say, well, I'm not a pilot. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about weather. Well, let me educate you about weather a little bit, so that you can understand, the average tactical flight officer or the average paramedic, they don't know what the FAR is about weather minimums. They know what weather looks like, and they know it looks pretty crappy outside right now.
Yeah.
But do they know what the minimum is? So I used to give this example a lot, where I said the TFO has an equal say. So you, and as a pilot, you don't just say, hey, we just got this call, we're going. The weather's kind of crappy, but it's good. I'm good. We're within the rules. Let's go. We would tell our pilots, you need to explain it more thoroughly to the TFO. And TFOs, you need to learn as much as you can so that you can have that conversation about that go, no go. And not just go, well, he's the pilot, he knows. Well, yeah, but maybe that pilot's making a poor decision right now because they are human and they might be making a decision that's wrong. So you need to have input, even if it's, hey, I don't feel good about this. I mean, I can't even see the tops of the buildings here downtown.
Yeah.
So why are we going to this? It's a nothing call. I mean, it's not that important. It's not life or death. And even if it was, I can't see the tops of those buildings. So, it takes a lot of work, but it starts with the culture of the unit, whatever it is. And that's from the top. You know, you have to have good bosses that understand how important that is and encourage those conversations.
Yeah.
And say, hey, you're in that helicopter, same as the pilot. If something bad happens, you're all equally going to experience that. So you do have a say. Now it has to be an educated say. You can't say, oh, my gut tells me we shouldn't go. That's a little wobbly. But if you say, the reason I think we need to reconsider this is because of this, this, and this, my experience, my training, something that you heard in a class, something that you heard on a podcast, and we need to talk about this further. Getting back to my example, where a pilot would say, listen, the weather minimums for the FAA are this. Our weather minimums are even a little bit more strict, but right now, we are within our right to fly. I mean, we can go fly legally and within policy. It is kind of crappy out there. I feel very good about it based on my experience level, but I want you to feel good about it.
Right.
And if you don't, we're not going. And if they say, well, now that you said all that, I trust you and let's go. But understand, and then I would add to that as a pilot, I'd say, but understand, if we get out there and it starts getting worse and you notice it, you need to say something. Mm-hmm. And I will hopefully catch it before you. But if I don't, you need to say something. It's like a TFO not saying, hey, you got that wire right there? You got that tower right there? Why would they not say that? Well, I'm not the pilot. That's his job. I'm sure he sees it.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Exactly. We want you to be saying, you got that tower? Yeah. You got that wire? We want that out of our TFOs, but we tell them that. And that's part of their training from the day they get there. So it's part of the culture of the unit. And whether they do it or not, okay, that's the next step.
That certainly is.
And if they're not, we need to find out why. Is it their personality? Maybe they don't belong in this business. Maybe they don't have that initiative. Maybe they shouldn't be in that job. As TFOs, we said that all the time. You have got to be willing to tell coppers on the ground, stop, back up. And if you're not willing to do that in a life or death situation, you don't belong in this cockpit. You can apologize to them later and say, hey guys, the reason I yelled at you is because of this. We don't yell at people, but if it's life or death, they're about to go around a corner and there's a guy there with a gun, you better yell at them if you have to. The beginning of the Hangar Z podcast, don't go over that fence. Don't go over that fence. That's Kevin Means from San Diego PD, now retired. He doesn't talk like that 99.9% of the time.
Right.
But he did there. And what did he do? He saved that officer from going over that fence and being shot by a guy waiting for him with a shotgun, aiming it at where that officer would have gone over that fence. That's the time to take initiative. So it gets back to speaking up even in the cockpit and saying, hey, partner, you got that? Hey, partner, I'll tell you what, I'm looking out the window. This is getting much worse, what I'm seeing. You know what? You're right, partner. We're landing, or we're turning around, or we're aborting, or whatever, based on the uncomfortable partner. But that's the culture of that unit. And again, one last thing, saying it again, easier said than done.
Oh yeah,
I get that. I get that.
For sure.
But it's what we got to strive for.
Yeah, I think that we really do. And like, I look back at my experience in aviation. Now, Blake and I have been flying for about the same time. I started in the industry in 2012, and I have to say, overall, 99.9% of my time in this industry, I've had very positive experiences when it comes to those close calls or those gray areas in terms of making those decisions. But I think it's been because of the culture that has been associated with it. And so I wholeheartedly support where you're coming from with that culture side of things. But not just the culture from like leadership, it's been the culture from the pilots that I've flown with over the years, and props to each and every one of them for really taking me under their wing and showing me, well, this is what this gauge is saying. This is what should be happening, for going through this IFR flight plan. These are the things that should be occurring. We're watching here for this, this, and this. Like, I know that when I'm sitting up front, and at my current program, we have a flight deck observer program that you have to go through specific training before you're going to be sitting up front and kind of helping out with some of the radio stuff and some of those things. Because we do keep the dual controls in all the time. So granted, we're not doing anything with those controls, but they are in place, and we have to have specific training to know how to be able to be helpful up there without getting in the way of anything that needs to be happening with the pilot. But I'm looking at all the gauges. I'm, doing radio calls when I can. I'm helping them with some of the navigation stuff and calling out all of the obstacles that are there. But it's been because of that culture that has been fostered within my programs over the years that has allowed me the ability to feel confident and comfortable in those moments, having those discussions, making those calls, and being an integral part of that team. And it really comes back to that whole just culture aspect.
Perfect example, Mike. I love that.
And I think, when I look at my experiences that have happened over the course of my career, there have been very few times where I've raised a question or a concern that it has not been received in a way that has been nothing but, yes, let's look into this. Let's explore this more. Let's talk about it. And just exactly the things that you were mentioning before with, weather's this, and this, and I'm looking outside saying, oh, it looks kind of crappy right now. And they're like, well, here's what I'm seeing on the radar. Let's talk through this. And taking that extra second sometimes to make sure that each of those crew members are heard and each of those crew members have a say in what that overall risk is. I think that's the part that takes this beyond the FRAT, right? Like that's the part that makes this the entire crew involvement to where each person knows that when I'm getting in that helicopter, I'm doing it because I feel this is safe and I feel we are good to go on this mission.
Yeah.
And that we as a group collectively are at the same decision point. And I think that's the part that's so important of it. And it really comes back to that baseline of just culture. And I think it does start at the top, like you said, but it really has to be at the forefront in every single one of our crews.
Yeah. I love that you said 99.9% is in that realm, and that the pilots have taken the time to educate you and involve you and explain things to you. That's how it has to be. It really does. Now, I hope that both of you go through your whole careers and never have the guy that isn't like that, because there are pilots out there that are not like that. And the example I used to give in a class about crew coordination is Tenerife. That's still the worst aviation accident in world history with the most casualties. I don't remember the numbers, but it's hundreds and hundreds. Outside of September 11th, which is intentional, this is the worst aviation accident where a jet taking off hits another jet on the runway in the fog. Long story short, the pilot that caused that accident was the chief pilot of KLM. The chief pilot, he's the actual poster boy of KLM Airlines. He's literally on billboards and in magazine ads because he's a good-looking Dutch guy, and I mean he's got experience and wisdom and strength, and he's the chief pilot. He's the face of our airline. Well, that guy is also an arrogant, egotistical, one way, my way, or the highway guy, and two different people questioned his decision on whether to take off on that runway that day. And he dismissed them, arrogantly dismissed them. And guess what? He killed hundreds of people because of his poor decision, even though there were two very courageous and smart crew members that said, hey, I don't think they said clear for takeoff. Oh, you just sit there and shut up. Full throttle.
Ouch.
Those people exist. It's, again, we're humans. And that guy had, even though he had the most experience, he had the worst attitude of any pilot in that whole organization, quite possibly, because of ego. he's not one that's inviting you into the cockpit to explain things to you and say, hey, Mike, hey, Blake, let me explain something. When it comes to weather or when it comes to, no, he's like, just sit there and shut up. That's his attitude. And you as crew members know he's like that. So what are the chances of you speaking up? About zero.
Yeah.
And then, well, he's the chief pilot. He's on the billboards. I can't say anything. No, they did. And it still happened. So really important conversation we're having here. And again, I'm thrilled that when you said that pilots have done that with you and said, hey, see this gauge, this is what I'm doing, this is what we're looking at. The more information you as a crew have on each other's jobs, it goes two ways. I think you should be doing, and I bet you have, explain to the pilot, hey, just so you know what's going on back here. When we're doing this, we need you to understand that this is
you're going to feel some movement back here, and it's definitely us.
There's going to be movement. There's going to be people that are fighting us as we're putting IVs into them. There's going to be, they need to understand your job too. And if you have that culture where you work, you are safer. That's a fact. That's a fact that you're going to be safer if you have that culture where you park your ego at the door. You understand each other. You're not scared to speak up. You can speak freely without feeling you're going to be ridiculed or, hey, you're the new guy. I mean, I can't tell you how many times on the podcast we have had this happen where we talked about fresh set of eyes. And fresh set of eyes just means the newest person into the unit might see something you're doing that you've been doing for 25 years.
Love it.
It's really
Absolutely
stupid.
love it. Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
And you got to be open to that too.
You have to be.
You have to be humble enough to say, oh yeah, maybe we shouldn't. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
And then you're like, why didn't anybody say anything prior to that? Why didn't anybody tell me?
Because this is how we've always done it.
Thank you to our sponsor, Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory globally, 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
That's right. And we've all been that new guy. And maybe people have thought it and just were scared to say it. But this person came in, looked at something, and had the courage, and it is courageous, to say, hey, I got a question. Why do you do that? And they go, well, we've always done it that way. Well, yeah, I know, but why?
But why?
Are we doing that when we could do maybe this? I mean, it just seems odd to me.
Yep.
And that creates a conversation that ends up being, holy crap, how did the new guy find that? How do we not see that? This is pretty stupid. We need to change that about how that procedure or that process or that way, the way we do it. Fresh set of eyes, it's real. And it comes into play of everything we're talking about here. The culture, very important.
Yeah.
Well, I don't, I have a controversial subject that I feel really plays into this, what we're talking about beyond the frat. And this was talked about at the Echo conference. And I think this is talked about day in and day out all the time. I truly feel, and I would hope that maybe other people feel the same way. There is a vast difference between managing and leading. And when I say that, what I mean is, we talk about this culture or these policies and how we do things. Like, it has to be adopted from the top down, as well as that
100%.
fresh set of eyes on up, right? And there's no rank. We talked about that before. But there is a huge difference between management and leadership. That is out there. And I think we need to be honest with ourselves and with our companies and with our programs, no matter where you work, that exists. And it exists. And as much as that can be very helpful, it could also be very hurtful. And defining those differences, the biggest annoying phrase that I hear a lot is, well, when I used to fly, this is what we did. When I used to fly, we did this all the time. Well, guess what? With all due respect, you're not flying anymore.
Yes.
And not negating what you did, but you aren't here with us as part of the crew, actively making these decisions and going out and dealing with these risks and dealing with these fatigues.
Yep.
You're flying desks, you're flying computers, and that's okay. That can be your role, and that might be the job that you have now. But when people bring that phrase into the everyday world and we want to talk about safety, well, you don't do it anymore.
Yep.
And to kind of push that into other people's briefings, to push that into other people's day-to-day lives, your job might be that safety program manager or safety leader, right? But if you are not part of the daily mission, making decisions to go or not go, not to say that you don't have a valid point in that, but if you're not part of that every day, you have to know that role and that boundary and allow the other people that are doing that daily, day in and day out, respect their position, and really try to relate to the things that they're bringing forward. This whole 3 to go, 1 to say no, this was talked about heavily at this conference. And we've said that, and it has to be all people. We are a team, whether there's 4 to go, 10 to go, whatever, however many people that are getting in that aircraft. If somebody doesn't feel comfortable, it's okay to talk about it.
Yes.
And I think people may echo what I'm saying is that there are programs, right? Like we have to have these difficult conversations, right?
Yes, we do.
But I think as flight crew, we take it personally when like there may be some people that, another base or another program that we're just going to decline it, Okay, well then ask them why. But as a team, don't single them out. If somebody truly didn't feel comfortable and you start trying to, keep track of who it was, maybe they have a reason and find out what it is, but also approach it to where like that psychological safety that you can have that conversation. So that way, that person that has the fresh set of eyes or someone is coming in, those are the points that we have to make to where you can feel safe and just say what you're feeling. You said that earlier. Oh, the gut feeling, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, why do you have that gut feeling?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. Have that conversation.
Yeah.
But as management versus leadership, true leadership, you have to respect where the people are coming from when they're doing that job day in and day out. Not just because you used to do it.
Yeah.
But understand that there's people that are out there doing this day in and day out. Respect where they're coming from with that and help everybody move forward and make these safe decisions and help them feel supported.
Yeah. Well said, Blake. That's important.
I think you brought up some really good points there, Blake, and that saying no, I think we have this misconception, and I think this is where the culture comes in, but I think it's a culture on both sides. So like we talked about before, we're a very proud group, right? We don't want our pride to be hurt in any way, right?
Yeah.
So when we have to say no to something, that's often kind of a blow to our ego, but it still needs to be respected. But I think that we as crew members, if and when that time comes that we do have to say no, that I'm not comfortable in something along those lines, that there needs to be the respect and understanding on both sides of that fence. A conversation needs to happen. A conversation needs to understand the why. But when that conversation comes at me, if I'm the one that says no, I also need to have enough self-recollection to understand this is not an attack on me. This is not a personal thing on me. This is someone trying to understand why I don't feel comfortable in that situation, for me to be able to express that, and for us to be able to learn from that situation so it doesn't happen again in the future.
Yep.
And I think that's the challenge sometimes is we have these, again, going back to personal or human factors, where we're very proud and we feel attacked when we are asked about that situation that we maybe say no to.
Yep.
But those are conversations that need to happen.
Absolutely.
And it goes back to that whole, it's not about what you say, it's how you say it. And so you need to be able to have those open communications on both sides with the understanding and respect that this is coming from a place of true, intrigue and why and how do we make this safer?
Yeah.
Well, Jack, you were mentioning, if I were to just, it's my 5th shift in a row, and I just was saying, hey, I just don't feel safe going on this, and I may have a reason, right? If you're noticing that pattern, or anybody, that should be the clue, right? Like you said, that there's the clue in law enforcement. Like we should be able to have that conversation. And Mike, you just said it perfectly. We have to have some thick skin and understand that we should have some tough conversations, while at the same time, we have to be, we have to look at it like from all different angles and allow that person to say how it is that they're feeling. And maybe we can uncover something that was a preconceived notion or something they picked up from somewhere else. Well, I used to be at this program and this is how we did it. I saw that this is being done differently. I just figured this was normal, so I didn't want to say anything. We have people from all walks of life at multiple different programs, people that did things differently. I know if Mike, you came down here, or me, vice versa, up there, we would both collectively bring something to the table, but there'd be so much to learn because it's 2 totally different areas of the country.
Yeah.
And when people bring that to the table, I just don't want anybody to ever feel discounted or discredited in that way. Let's have an open conversation. And sometimes at the moment when they say no, then that's it. Just, okay, they said no, we're not going, right? There's no need to point out, oh, well, they said they didn't feel comfortable, so you need to go talk to them.
That's right. It's a crew.
I mean, can we as leadership, it's okay to have that conversation, but can you do it in a realm to where you don't feel like that person is singled out? Because then they're not going to want to be honest next time.
Yep.
Is there a way to do it successfully and support their decision and help them learn from it?
Yeah. It should be, we decided to decline that mission. That I by the way, I loved earlier when you said that the word mission, that you guys got rid of that. I didn't know that. That hit me and I went, that's really smart. I mean, it's a word.
It's a call for service or a flight request or flights,
Yeah. You think about it. Mission. Got to get the mission done,
Right.
No man left behind. We got to accomplish the mission. It's okay. Yeah, that word's pretty powerful. But one thing that it all comes back to, and this sign used to be outside our roll call room on your way in, and it's gone. It should still be there, and it should be at every aviation unit on the planet. Park your ego at the door. So as you're walking into your facility, park your ego at the door. And that wasn't to say, we all have egos. We all have egos. And that's not to say that we're trying to change you or we're trying to, we don't want to hear from you. No, it's to say that park your ego and listen to others and absorb it, and let's interact. And we all have things to say. And if we get the egos out of it, we're going to all be better off. We're going to be safer. We're going to be more effective. We're going to be more efficient. We're going to be all sorts of things. And the example that I've given for years, and everybody gives this example now, is the Blue Angels. I mean, if you watch the latest Blue Angel documentary, it really shows. I mean, all the documentaries on the Blue Angels have shown this, but this latest one shows it really well. The debriefs and the planning and the parking your ego at the door and saying, hey, this is what I screwed up today. I had this, and this. Oh, and by the way, Mike, dude, I can't believe that you did that when we were doing this maneuver. Right. But they point at themselves first.
Yes,
and tell you, these are the faults that I had. And by the way, Mike, you had this, I noticed. And Blake, you had this too. And now the three of us can work on correcting it. And they ended by saying, I'm going to fix that. Happy to be here.
Thanks to our sponsor, Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, save lives, and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information.
Scott Moyer, Scooter, was on the Hangar Z. It was one of our best podcasts. And it wasn't because he's a Blue Angel. It was because of his attitude. I mean, we left there and said, if we were all more like Scooter, we'd all be safer and better human beings. Right? I mean, he was so good. He's so humble about what he has accomplished. And he flies for Southwest. I'd love for him to be my Southwest pilot on every flight. I mean, because he has the right attitude and the right feeling. And he's a true believer in that ego because he lived it. He lived it. And we all need to do it. Yeah, we're not all flying, within 18 inches of rotor blades and wings. We're not doing that, but we're out saving lives and we're out keeping public safe and cops safe. And there's an element of that we have to park our egos and don't get so caught up in, oh, I'm going to look bad. Oh, it's going to affect me. Yeah. No, this is a team effort and we've got to stay safe. We're all in this same aircraft. If something bad happens, it happens to all of us. If something great happens, it happens to all of us on our successes and our failures. So that is so important. This conversation cannot be discussed enough. It just can't. Yeah. It will save lives if the cultures are positive and good.
Yeah. And I would argue, with what you just said regarding the Blue Angels, they do obviously very precision work.
Yep.
But I would argue that what we do has to have the same kind of precision, just in a different way.
Yes. Oh, I agree.
Every single time that we're leaving the ground, we have to be precise about it. We have to think through each of those situations. We have to make sure that we're functioning well within our margins and are comfortable with each and every part of that response.
And guess what, Mike?
I didn't call it mission this time.
Yes. And guess what? The things that you're reacting to doing in many ways are harder than what the Blue Angels are doing. They're doing the same routine at every air show, unless there's a weather minimum day where they're changing the routine. That routine is set. Yeah. That's advantage them. Okay. Whereas in the incidents and the flights that you're going on, every single one is different in some way.
That's a good point.
They have differences too, some of which I don't understand. They're elite, they're amazing, but you're making decisions on the fly, whether you're at the controls or in the back working on a patient. You're making decisions on the fly. They're all different. So your decision making and your attitude and mindset have to be even better in some ways than doing the same thing over and over.
I guess I never really thought about it that way, but I certainly see the validity.
Yeah. I've had a Blue Angel in the back seat of my helicopter say, "Oh man, you get the best flying job on the planet." A Blue Angel said that. Are you freaking kidding me? And that's what I said. Oh, stop it. Yeah. And he goes, "No, you get to fly where you want, and you're going over there." Airline pilots. I've had airline pilots in the back. They go, "Oh my gosh, this is incredible." And we're like, "Really?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, this is an international guy that's flying worldwide." He goes, "Yeah, we take off and, it does it for us. I mean, you're making decisions on the fly and control.
I got to pay attention every now and then.
That's right.
Yeah. Computer does it all for me.
Exactly. So when you think about that, you go, wow, that made us feel pretty good for one thing. And it shows you that we are making a ton of decisions on the fly that have to be right. And if they're wrong, it can be catastrophic. So we better go into that with the right attitude, the right mindset, and the open culture of communication where somebody in the crew can say something and we give it validity and we respect it and we consider it, and then we make a decision. Not, hey, just sit back there, I got it. Well, okay, maybe you do.
I wanted to go back to one thing that you had mentioned before, because it kind of ties into that whole, every crew member having that equal say, or that part, that important piece of the puzzle whenever we go on a response out there. See, I did it again. I didn't do mission again. But when we talk about, you mentioned the TFO needing to know pretty much everything that's going on up front. I wanted to just relate that. And I think back to my training and going through this flight tech observer program with my current agency. I can't learn enough up there. And I think if any one of us is sitting up front in the aircraft, if you aren't learning something each and every time you're sitting up there, you are doing your entire crew an injustice. I am constantly asking questions. I'm comfortable in the things that I know, but each time I want to learn something new. And I absolutely love when my pilots are like, hey, this is something we're going to do this time. This is what we're going to be watching for on the gauges here. This is, what the GPS is going to be doing when we get to this waypoint. This is what we're looking for as far as, weather stuff goes. I love when my pilots take the opportunity to just help me understand a little bit more about aviation every single time. And I think back to a discussion that was at one of the prior Echo conferences, and I hope that we can get them on for another podcast, but it was talking about a Carillion lifeguard and their incapacitated pilot program. And I feel like this plays into it so much, because if we as an industry take that responsibility to each other and bring each other together so that we can each understand our roles collectively and understand what's going through the other person's head and their decision making and where they're going, what they're doing, how they're getting there, it's only going to strengthen us as a team. And so if and when something does happen, that we still have a chance to figure it out.
Right.
Because like you said, when things go wrong, it's very unforgiving.
Sure. It is.
And I hope that we can get them back on to the podcast to have an update of where they're at with that particular program now. And I know it's been adopted by a lot of other programs across the country because of the spearheading that they did.
Yes.
But I love to learn everything that I can about aviation and being upfront. Can I fly it? Absolutely not. I wouldn't even give it a go at this point,
Yeah.
And but to know that there might be something I could do, or that I'm understanding what my pilot is going through. So if we do have an emergency, I know how I can best help him in that situation.
Perfect.
Or her in that situation, so that we can get on the ground safely and as a crew be okay.
Yeah.
And that's the part that I love about it, because it really brings all of us together to know that each and every one of us has an integral part in that mission or response. Like we all have to have that buy-in.
Yeah.
And so I love that you brought that up before, because I can't speak to that enough, where, you need to be an active part of every single part of that flight.
Absolutely.
It has to happen.
Yeah. Clay Lacey played a video of an inadvertent IMC event where they went in, he wasn't in the aircraft, but they went into the clouds on a canine search, and the tactical flight officer, Cody from Dallas Avionics, he did an amazing job. Now the pilot did too, but Cody was standing there telling him 70 knots, you're drifting left. You're drifting 65 knots. I mean, you're doing great, partner. Yeah. He saved them. I mean, the pilot did their job, but I'm telling you that those inputs from someone who knew, a non-pilot that knew what to do in that emergency and what that pilot would need help with to keep them alive, he did it. He was phenomenal. I had never seen that video before.
Whatever work they need to do.
That's right.
And like that, it's just paramount in that situation. And
that's right.
That's why I love learning all of those things, so that if something like that does happen, I can help my pilot, whoever that may be, get us on the ground safely.
And it's just little inputs, but he knew it. He knew about it through some training that you're talking about, and he was able to help save them. There's no doubt. I saw Cody was at Echo, and I just went up to him and said, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen that video before. You, sir, were absolutely incredible." And he brushes it off. But
of course he does.
I'm telling you, it was amazing. And it was because of what you're talking about. He had just enough knowledge to know, how can I help right now? Do I just sit here and keep my mouth shut? You better not. You better help out. And the way you can help is airspeed. 60, 65. Doing great, partner. Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's fantastic. I think when we talk about going through all of these risk analysis in our day-to-day at work, I think that we have to have a balance, right? And so I think that this balance comes partially from culture, but I think that there's other factors that go into it, because I think at the end of the day, if we sit here and we try to analyze every single risk that we're going to encounter, we can end up getting analysis paralysis. And we want to make sure that we still are mission ready, right? Response ready, however we want to word it these days.
Yes.
We want to make sure that we're still ready for that, and that if and when a response request comes in, that we're able to still, in a timely fashion, be able to respond. How do we balance the things we're discussing in a risk assessment with response time, and keeping both of those in mind to still make sure that we're mindfully getting out the door in a safe and effective manner?
That's a tough question, and that's kind of a magic, the silver bullet that
Yeah.
if we knew that the answer to that question perfectly, wow, that would be great. But I will say that if we're doing the flight risk analysis correctly, and everybody's involved in it, and we have that safe, just culture in our unit, it'll kind of take care of it. If we're doing it, if we're practicing what we preach, I think it takes care of that. And then it'll take care of the response time. It'll take care of the safety. It'll happen. But if we start skipping, or if we start leaving someone out of the process, now we're creating something that could come back and bite us. And it will eventually. It might not for years, but all of a sudden it will. And we'll go, well, how did we miss that? Oh, well, it ends up being something obvious. So if we do all the things that we have talked about for the last hour and a half, I think it takes care of that response time. And you still do your job, and you're still going to save lives. And when you decide not to go, you may be saving lives there too. And it may be your own.
When every second counts, trust Night Flight Concepts to keep you mission ready. With advanced night vision technology, FAA certified repair services, and expert training, we've got your six. Visit nightflightconcepts.com to learn more.
That's huge. It really is. We're responders. Whether you're law enforcement, search and rescue, HEMS, whatever, we want to go. But we have to be honest, and we have to be all in. Like you said, you leave the ego at the door. We are involved. We talk about not only at the beginning of shift, but as each request comes up for a response, and we go through it, and we do it systematically and take everything into account. Mike, when you were talking about earlier, it just kind of comes back to me now. You go into that same LZ all the time. Mm-hmm. You get that response, hey guys, we're going to this LZ. You've been there a bunch of times. But Jack, you mentioned the sun. And there's been plenty of times where I'm sitting up front. Predominantly we work the radios. I mean, like, didn't even think of that. I always wear my sunglasses, and that could even be a thing. What are my sunglasses? Or what if I forget my sunglasses or they fall? Do I have the ability to use the one in my helmet? Do I have the ability to see? So those are like, just as we talk about those things, and we're all in when we do these briefings and we talk about these things, and we just try to keep those in perspective. I when we talked about it, I was just thinking, man, well, I'm going to work tomorrow, and it's a 100% likelihood that we're going to go to an LZ I've been to a million times.
Yeah.
And just
There's
trying
always
to
something different though.
Yeah. So I guess my question, what can I, or other crew members, what can I bring to the table then? What can I bring that will impact that overall risk for this request, this response? Mm-hmm. And how do I mitigate those? What do I bring to the table, or other crew members? What can we say for each response request, and how do we do it effectively that make sure that we're bringing these things to light But what can I do to make it safer for each time that we're called to go do our job?
You just be honest, be courageous, be open to everybody else's opinion as well, and be consistent. If you show your fellow crews that I'm going to set the example here, and I'm going to look at everything we do, and I'm going to be honest and open with all of you all the time. And if you're consistent with that, people will notice and they'll go, wow, I need to be more like that. And next thing you know, somebody who maybe isn't chiming in as often is chiming in and giving their opinion. You go, I like that. That's what we want. And you notice it and you tell them, hey, that's a good idea. Thanks for sharing that. And then it kind of spreads like wildfire, but somebody's got to set the example. And it doesn't have to be a manager. We're all leaders at every rank.
Without being a leader.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, setting the example is so important.
You said consistency.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think that's
very
important. Not complacency. Consistency.
Yes, consistency.
Yeah.
Complacency
I love
kills. Complacency, it kills a lot of cops every year. It kills a lot of air crews every year. It kills a lot of people in general in just doing life things, making decisions because they get complacent. We've all talked about this the whole time I've been in there so many times. That's complacency. Doesn't mean that it's not different today. What if something changed? What if a light is broken now or the lights aren't on there at that LZ that we usually had lights there before? There's so many factors. So don't become complacent, but being consistent in your attitude about your job, really important.
This area that you're kind of discussing now and about those crew factors that may impact the overall risk and how we interact as a crew and what we can identify as risks and mitigate is an area that I'm kind of truly passionate about. In my program, I do all of the monthly analysis of our risk assessment scores and try to identify trends within those scores by looking at each of the individual factors of how we can overall improve our safety margins as a program.
Yeah.
And I'll say one of the things that I've noticed is, one, we are tired perpetually.
Yes.
But two, we oftentimes don't have the ability to mitigate a lot of the risks that we encounter. But I think it's about, one, the awareness of those risks, the awareness of what those other external factors are that are playing into the score being mildly elevated or moderately elevated.
Right.
And having those at the forefront of our brain when we do go on this response, to be able to look at it overall objectively and be aware of those risks, because I think half the times, like you said before, those ones that are the most dangerous are the ones that we can't identify. If we can identify them, be aware of them, have those at the forefront of our brain, they're things that we can hopefully find a workaround in that situation if and when we do encounter them.
Yes.
But it's about having those honest discussions ahead of time. There are plenty of days where I've walked into work and we talk about the personal factors and I'm like, guys, I got some things going on in life. I'm not 100%. I slept like crap last night. I'm here. I'm in it to win it, but just keep an eye on me today, please.
Good. Good attitude.
And have that open and honest conversation. Because I think those are extra factors that we don't always take into account when we're going on these missions, and we all got to have each other's back.
Right. That's right.
It's how it is at the end of the day.
Yep.
And there have been plenty of other days where my partners come in and say the exact same thing to me. And it's like, all right, I got you today, and we'll make this happen. But I think it's about being aware of what those other factors are, even if you can't mitigate them.
Right.
Just to know what they are and to have that honesty and integrity, like you were talking about, when you are doing those risk assessments in the beginning of the shift, so that each and every one of those crew members is aware of my own personal limitations that day.
Yeah.
I think that's part that's extremely important. And that in and of itself, I don't think alleviates risk, but I think that it does drastically reduce it because of the ability to have that forethought and that understanding of what those risks are and that they exist.
Yeah. Sometimes just being aware of it is mitigating in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's nothing,
exactly.
well, what can I do about that? I can't think of anything. Well, but we're aware of it. So,
Right. So it's important to have those conversations at
good.
the end of the
Yes.
day.
Yeah.
Do you think that we do a good job when somebody, so if I start off the shift saying, hey, keep an eye on me, let me know. Do you think we do a good job responding when somebody brings it up to us? Do we think we do a good job when someone says, hey, Blake, you're
I'm going to go based off of
you need
Jack's
to eat a
face right now.
Snickers.
that the answer to that is no.
You need to
Probably
eat a Snickers,
not.
Blake. You haven't eaten. Do we do a good job with that?
I
And
don't
how
know.
do we fix that pride?
Yeah. That's hard. That's
Not
hard.
necessarily ego, but that's definitely a part of it. But
Yeah.
how do we fix that when somebody tells us, hey, you really aren't yourself, or something's going on?
That comes down to your friendships that you and your bond as a crew and your trust in each other that you build over time. It doesn't happen the first day you're there, but after a while it should. And if you just say, hey, I hope you mean that, because if I notice something, I'm going to tell you, Blake.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I will tell you. And then you are consistently doing that, and I would do the same. But yeah, that's
we have
a tough
to be
one.
ready. We have
do.
to be ready for somebody to call us out on that, because it's
That's
one
right.
thing to
'Cause they're
say
gonna.
it.
Somebody will.
I hope
I got
so.
called out last night specifically.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
And I mean, it was all in a joking manner, but my one partner was like, I need to know what your food status is right now. Like, where are we at on the hungry scale? So I know how much I can bust your balls right now.
Because of the hangry level.
Oh, it is rough with me. There's a reason that some of my partners carry Scooby snacks in the emergency situation, and it's
Yep.
not for them.
Yeah, I've done that too. But
My hope is that when we do bring up those, please tell me, I've got to just, hey, thank you.
yep,
You're right.
That's right.
And maybe
That's
it's
right.
that time where I'm like, you know what? Thank you. We're going to call it. I'm going to go home. I'm just
That's
going to
right.
go home. And you're right. I am not doing us any favors, even if I am okay to make it through the shift.
Yeah.
Is it worth the risk?
Yeah, that's
And
right.
is it worth me? The thing that I could never live with would be the fact that if something happened on my account and I was the only person that survived something,
Yeah.
how would I live with myself?
Exactly. You have to think ahead like that.
I wouldn't be
You
able
do.
to look in the mirror.
That's right.
But I think to your point, Blank, just to go on the, to take off my safety hat now and put on my peer support hat, I think oftentimes this is the whole holding each other accountable situation. People don't realize that they may not be acting themselves. They may not realize that they're shorter than usual. They may not understand that maybe there's some external factors that are affecting how they're doing their job. And it takes us as partners and as people and as friends to have that honest discussion with them and be like, hey, you're not really yourself today. Or is everything okay? Do you need to talk about something? Like, I just noticed you're not really in it to win it like you normally are. And sometimes people just need that verbal, like, oh shit, this really is affecting me. I didn't think that it was, but here we are. So I think that we owe each other that aspect too.
Yep.
Jack, I really appreciate the discussion that we've had. And I think that we can take a lot of these concepts and really build them into not just a pre-mission assessment of what our risks are, but an intra-mission and a post-mission assessment of what those risks are. And I think that there's something that we can learn from on each of those portions of the response, and being able to carry that forward and being able to learn from each other and grow as an industry. And that's just not within my own agency. I'm talking globally.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate having these discussions. And I can't thank you enough for coming on and talking with us today. This has been a phenomenal discussion, and I cannot wait for our listeners to be able to hear what you have to say in that situation, and hopefully take a lot of this stuff back to their base and have just those conversations.
Yeah.
Just having that conversation alone and being able to bring that up and feeling as though you guys as crew can start to talk about some of these things more openly and honestly, and really improve our overall safety margins and decrease our risks, because we'll never be able to take it away. But
That's
if
right.
we can continue to decrease those risks and really start to move in a safer direction as an industry, I appreciate you having that discussion with us and being willing to be open and honest with it. This is something I am truly passionate about. And obviously the two of you are as well, because it doesn't, I mean, we've been talking for, an hour and 45 minutes here.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's just been a couple minutes. Like,
Let's do it again.
Absolutely. I would love
Let's do it again. Anytime.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure to be with you, Mike. Blake, you're doing great things with the Valor Flight Crew podcast, and the Echo, the whole Echo deal is just fantastic. I'm honored to be here. Pleasure to talk about this. This saves lives too, these conversations. Absolutely. And I'm honored that you asked me. Thanks.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Jack. And thank you to all of our guests as well for their continued support of the Vertical Helicast platform, the Valor Flight Crew podcast, and we will see you all next time. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Valor Flight Crew podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories that promote the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation. Lastly, stand by for a message from our sponsors.
Thanks to our sponsor, Airbus. Airbus provides the most efficient helicopter solutions to its customers who serve, protect, save lives, and safely carry passengers in demanding environments. Its civil and military helicopters are flying all over the world, making missions possible. Visit airbus.com for more information.
When every second counts, trust Night Flight Concepts to keep you mission ready. With advanced night vision technology, FAA certified repair services, and expert training, we've got your six. Visit nightflightconcepts.com to learn more.
Thank you to our sponsor, Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory globally, 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
That wraps up this episode of the Valor Flight Crew podcast. A big thanks to our guest, Jack Shanley, for reminding us that risk management isn't just about charts and checklists. It's about people, perspective, and the choices we make when the pressure's on. His stories are a great reminder that staying safe doesn't just mean playing it safe. It means leading with humility, learning from experience, and trusting the team beside you. If you enjoyed today's conversation, we'd love for you to share it with your team and join us in keeping these stories and lessons alive across the public safety aviation community. Be sure to like and subscribe for future episodes that promote the personnel and life-saving equipment behind helicopter air ambulance services. Until next time, stay safe, trust in your team, and challenge each other to truly mitigate our risks by looking beyond the FRAT.